welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I create a lot of content about natural hair and how to take care of it, so I hope you guys can go and check it out. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for always coming back and supporting my content. I really do appreciate that. And also don't forget to give me a big thumbs up on this video and subscribe down below if you have. So today we'll be talking about split ends. What are split ends? What are the causes of split ends? And how you can actually slow down the rate of split ends. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what are split ends? Split ends are naturally occurring process. There's nothing much you can do to prevent them, but there's something you can do to reduce the rate of getting the split. There are different types of split ends. I'll just leave here a chart of these different types of split ends. So when it comes to split ends, it's just cuticle damage. It mostly happens at the end of your hair, and it always leaves your hair looking bushy, frizzy, and it tangles a lot. So split ends is not something that you desire to have. Obviously your hair will constantly grow from your scalp, but the issue is always when it comes to length retention. So split ends prevent length retention, and at the end of the day it can cause your hair to shade so much and you won't retain length. So there's some things that can actually accelerate the rate of having this split end. These are chemical treated hair, color treated hair, having a lot of heat damage, having high growth fatigue, and yes, there's something called as over moisturizing your hair. When your hair is over moisturized, it's called high growth fatigue. So yeah, it causes a lot of split ends too. And lastly is when you roughly handle your hair either by yourself or you're in the salon. This can lead to a lot of split ends. Some things that you can actually do to slow down the rate of having these split ends. Number one, you can do deep conditioning treatment, especially protein treatment, because split ends is due to cuticle damage, right? And the cuticle is mostly made up of a protein called keratin. So actually doing protein treatment, it can help heal the cuticle damage. Number two is to learn how to properly moisturize your hair. Your ends tend to be the most dry part of your hair, so learning to moisturize them very well, it can help to prevent those split ends. At the same time, you have to consider that if you over moisturize your hair again, you'll get split ends. So you have to find the perfect balance. Number three, it's for you to stop chemically treating your hair or color treating your hair. This process causes a lot of cuticle damage, hence increasing the rate of you having split ends. So if you stop doing them, you reduce the rate of you having split ends. Number four is for you to stop using heat directly back to back, especially things like blow drying your hair and using flat irons. These are things that can leave your hair really dry, especially your ends, hence increasing the rate of you having cuticle damage and you having split ends. So you shouldn't use heat very often, and if you tend to use heat very often, also I'll advise you to use a heat protectant to prevent the heat damage. Number five is for you to stop handling your hair roughly, and there are some things that you can do to prevent this. Number one, you can start working on in sections, and also doing finger detangling, and also using a wide tooth comb while combing out your hair. Yeah, so those things can prevent you from rough handling your hair, hence reducing the rate of you having split. And lastly, I want to talk about trimming your ends. This is the most effective way of dealing with split ends, especially when your hair is really damaged. Sometimes your ends are so damaged that there is nothing more you can do than just to let it go. And also including trims into your healthy hair routine can really be beneficial at the end of the day. So it can also help in length retention. And as I've said before, you not trimming your hair can cause a lot of tangles, and when you're combing it out or when you're dealing with it, you see a lot of breakage. So trimming is very important to incorporate it into your healthy hair routine. So when it comes to trimming your hair, there's some things you have to consider. Number one, you always want to use a sharp scissors. Make sure that the scissors you're using is really sharp and that it's only meant for your hair. Number two, make sure where you're storing your scissors is a place where it's really dry and not where it's wet, because this way it can cause your scissors to go blunt in a way and cause it to have rust. So yeah, you want to store it in a very dry place. Number two, when you're trimming your hair, always make sure that you're trimming it on a straight angle and not in any other angle. So when you trim in any other angle, what you're basically doing, you're causing more cuticle damage. So you always want to just like trim it in a very straight angle. Number three, when it comes to trimming your hair, you can either choose to do it regularly or just wait 4 to 6 months so that you can trim your hair. Personally, I can't do the regular trims because I always go scissors happy. I just get confused and I just go cutting my hair like that. So I don't trim my hair regularly. So I usually wait 4 to 6 months to trim my hair, just depending on how my hair feels. So if I see that I'm shedding a lot, I know, oh, it's time for me to trim my hair, right? Yeah, so for me, I always wait for that time to come. So but if you're that person who want to trim their hair regularly, you really have to be really careful not to go scissors happy, because sometimes you can always like spot the split ends and just you decide to trim it out, right? But yeah, I wouldn't advise you to do so. I would always advise you to wait for 4 to 6 months just to be safe. So when you're trimming your hair, you can trim your hair when it's all out like this, or you can trim your hair when you're braided it down, or also you can trim your hair when you're straightening it out. Personally, I don't straighten my hair out to trim it. I always braid it down, because when it's like this, again, I go scissors happy and I don't want to do that. So what I do, I always braid it down, very small braids, then just trim like that and use my finger as a guide, because when you're trimming your hair, you always want to trim half an inch to 1.25 inch. So for my fingers, until this point is like 1 inch. 1 inch is equivalent to 2 centimeters, right? So I assume that's the length that I'll be trimming. So I always like touch my hair, then use my thumb as a guide, then trim it down, and that's all. I'll just include a small clip of me trimming my hair. So as I've said before, you can see me that I'm starting with mini braids, then parting my hair into 3. That's to just make my work easier and more organized, so I can't repeat the hair I've already trimmed. Yeah, so this is a very easy process, and all you need to do is just follow the tips that I've given you and you'll be good to go. Also, make sure that your hair is dry when trimming your ends and not wet, because when it's wet, you won't get the clean finish. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to end the video here. So if you have any question, comment down below and I'll sure get back to you. And yeah, also don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't, and see you on my next video. Bye.